It is an honor, a joy, and a privilege for me to be here today. Good morning, I'm Hal Katz. I'm a teacher and a coach for 29 years. I taught at Edenmore Head High School for 7, Western Alamance High School for 18, and for the past 4 years I've been teaching and coaching at Mooresville High School. As a professional educator, I'd like to take a few minutes of your time to share some information about a fine young man. I truly believe in him. I believe that he is an outstanding candidate. I believe he's an outstanding man. I believe he's an outstanding father, an outstanding husband, and an outstanding citizen of this country. The best way I can sum up my personal and professional opinion of Mr. Phil Berger is he has my full trust. I wish I had a son just like him. He has shared with me a lot about his goals and dreams over the past few years. The one constant is his dream of helping others use his God-given ability to lead. Our country needs Phil Berger.
Thank you all. Let me first say thank you to Coach Capps. Coach Capps has been a mentor, and a role model for me my entire life. I've known him since he was my 8th grade baseball coach, and he coached me in football and has just meant so much to me, not only as a football coach, but as a leader. Coach Capps, it means so much for you to come up, and I know you've got a big game this week in the playoffs against Southeast Guilford, and we wish you luck, Coach. Also want to say thanks to Will. Will, that's a pretty good job, buddy. To Vicki Bethel and Leon Gentry with Bethany Community Middle School, all the students and teachers who are here today, I want to thank you for being here. And Ms. Bethel, thank you for allowing us to be here. You know, Bethany Community Middle School is an outstanding public school here in Rockingham County. This school frequently leads, and often leads, Rockingham County in test results and scores. And it's because of the dedicated staff and people here, including the parents who are involved, that the students from Bethany Community Middle School perform outstandingly. And I'm proud to say that my son Philip is a student here as well. You know, I'm so blessed to have such wonderful friends and supporters here today. But I'm truly blessed to have such a wonderful family. My wife Jody and I have been married for 17 years, and she is an outstanding wife. She's the love of my life, and she's a great mother. We've got 2 great kids, Philip and Will, and I'm so proud to have Will introduce me, and he was a little bit nervous, but that's okay, I am too. You know, when we first sat down as a family to discuss running for Congress, Will's response was truly a surprise to me. There we were, sitting at the kitchen table, talking about what this would mean to our family, and how we would have to take serious steps and make a serious commitment to winning. He just got up. I was a little stunned. Wasn't quite sure what to think until he came back a short time later. And in his hand was this, the dollar bill he mentioned. Will, we've got a lot more of these to raise. And it'd really help if you guys did some dishes. Family, that's what this is all about. You know, all we hope as parents, all we hope as coaches, is that we instill in our children and the people we come into contact with good values, like hard work and integrity. Well, my dad, our senator, deserves so much thanks and recognition. A man I'm proud to call my dad, Phil Berger. He has influenced me in so many ways, both in his public and his private life. What most people really don't know, however, is that my mom, Pat, is the real force in the family. She holds us both accountable. And if you know anything about my mom, you know that she's not a big fan of politics or of politicians. But Dad is the conservative leader in our state. He's taking the tough fight to Raleigh, and he's winning. In the last session, under his leadership, North Carolina passed the largest tax cut in state history. They made voter ID the law of the land. And they've taken on the education establishment, and they've put kids first, not bureaucrats. Talk about shaking things up. For some people, it's hard for them to distinguish between the two of us. He's the one who doesn't use the razor. But I'll tell you how you can tell us apart. I'm the one with more friends. You know, the truth is, he's not making a lot of friends in Raleigh. But then again, that's not why he's there. My guess is I'll inherit only half of his friends, but all of his enemies. He may not be making friends, but he's getting the job done. And that's a lot more than we can say about the politicians in Washington today. One thing I learned from my dad is that North Carolina conservatives keep their promises. In Washington, you're about to get a brand new North Carolina conservative. You know, 8 years ago when I first decided to run for district attorney, I ran because the incumbent DA, who'd spent more than a decade in that office, wasn't prosecuting criminals and she wasn't upholding the law. When we took her on, some people said, "Phil, you know, that's a tough fight. You might not win." I said, "Watch me." We went out and we outworked her, we out-campaigned her, and we told the truth. We showed people that she wasn't using the law to keep our community safe, and we told them how we could change that. Sadly, today we have another elected leader who's not following the law. And what's worse, he lives at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Our president is ignoring the Constitution. He's trampling on our rights. And I promise you, as hard as I work to become DA, as hard as I work to reform the prosecutor's office here in Rockingham County, that's how hard I'll work as your congressman, to fight for our freedom and stand up against the liberal overreach that's coming out of Washington. It is just unbelievable to watch the president try to fix Obamacare. Number one, we can't let the guys who broke it fix it. And number two, their so-called fix is like using bubble gum to plug the hole in the Titanic. And it's no laughing matter, we're the ones that stuck on this boat. Obamacare needs to be gone, removed, and repealed. It's a fight worth fighting, and it's one I'm happy to take on. Obama told us, "You like your plan? You can keep your plan." Well, Mr. President, we don't like your plan, and we're not going to keep it. You know, it's a sad day when millions of Americans, under their own free will, went out and bought insurance on their own. They studied what they wanted. They picked the coverage that was best for their families, and they paid their bills. And now their plans are canceled, gone. Mr. President, that's un-American. It's undemocratic, and it's an assault on our freedom. Not only is this president making a mockery of our Constitution, now he's trying to rewrite history as he sees fit, removing God from the history of our country. You know, recently, while reciting the Gettysburg Address, the president omitted the words, "under God." Mr. President, that's shameful. 150 years ago, Abraham Lincoln thought God was necessary to guide this country, and so do I. You know, every day as a prosecutor, I see a lot of difficult things. There's one case I'd like to tell you about that's really bothered me. It wasn't just any case. It was a horrific story of a sick man who was addicted to drugs and alcohol and just at an evil point in his life. Sadly, when his 77-year-old mother tried to help him, he responded in absolute violence, beating her to within an inch of her life. He left her with 25 staples in her head and a shearing injury to her brain. The doctor said that her head trauma was worse than an NFL hit. The word disturbing doesn't come close to describing what this guy did to his own mother. The bloody scene left in her front yard was unimaginable. Now, the easy thing to do as district attorney would be to offer a plea, send him to prison for a short time, and tell his mother, "You'll be safe until he gets out." It would have been another conviction and another bad guy in jail, for now. That would have been quick and it would have been easy. But I made the decision that the easy path was not the right path. I made the choice to do the right thing, the hard thing, and we tried him for the most serious felony assault on the books. The weapons we had to prove to the jury, his own hands. This was going to be a tough one to prove. The legal battle was not easy, but we made the decision to do the right thing. So we put in the extra hours, we took the more difficult path, and we pushed on. And you know what? We did it. Now, instead of him getting a lesser sentence by pleading, this man filled with evil and violence is spending the next 12 to 15 years in prison. I'll never forget seeing his mother after the verdict was handed down that day. I met her in the hallway, knowing that she would never see her son again. What a sad, sad situation. I told her, "Your son will never harm you again." Her words were clear, and she looked up at me from that bench and said, "Thank you." She was thanking me for protecting her from her own son. Those are the difficult decisions, and those are the tough decisions and tough choices that I've made every day as a prosecutor. Doing the right thing, taking the harder path, and standing up for what you believe in. We could use some more of that in Washington, don't you think? And I'm talking about some Republicans too. Look at my track record. When it's the right thing to do, the tougher path does not scare me. I will stand up for our values regardless of the political cost. I'm not going to cave and compromise away our freedoms, our rights, our values, or our principles. I believe that government spending and waste is out of control. We've borrowed over $1 trillion from China to fund the waste and the bureaucracy. When I talk about cutting government waste and making government more efficient, it's not just rhetoric. I've walked that walk. The year before I became DA, the previous office tried 5 felony cases. In the last 5 years, my office has tried over 200 jury trials. Now, how many of you think it would take more resources and more money to get that done? How many of you? Right? 5 compared to 200. Well, we got it done with a smaller budget and fewer resources. That's right, we've proven that government can do more with less, and that's a message I'll take to Washington. We can cut the waste. We can slash the bureaucracy. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that it's time that we have an honest conversation with the American people about the limitations of a life dependent on government. It's time we start a discussion about the prosperity that is possible through the expansion and protection of liberty. I know our strength does not come from government. It comes from our families, our communities, and our faith. The values of freedom, personal responsibility, and limited government are our values because they're North Carolina values. I'll make the tough decisions and put in the hard work because our freedom is worth the fight. I couldn't be prouder to announce today that I'm running as an unapologetic, proven conservative to represent our North Carolina values. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Phil Berger, and I want to be your congressman.